I now give the floor to Her Excellency Ms. Farsin Aghabakian, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the Observer State of Palestine.
Mr. President, allow me at the outset to express our appreciation for your decision to convene this meeting at ministerial level and preside over it. I also wish to express our full solidarity with your country and people and the other Arab countries confronted with outrageous attacks against their sovereignty and territorial integrity. Allow me also to express our appreciation to Assistant Secretary General Khayari, to the Foreign Minister of Norway and Chair of the AHLC, Dear Espen, and Mr. Tony Blair, Member of the Executive Board of the Board of Peace, for their briefings and their efforts. Mr. President, in devastated Gaza, while many lives were saved by the ceasefire, the suffering continues. We have welcomed the efforts for peace undertaken by President Trump, which secured, together with those of other countries and mediators, Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, a ceasefire agreement that must be fully upheld. The situation of the Palestinian civilian population must be a top priority in this regard. The killing of Palestinians, including children, by Israel must stop. There's no justification for the delays by Israel in allowing shelter in or the restrictions on aid and humanitarian access. The spread of rodents and diseases, the vulnerability of communities to adverse weather, the delays in restoration of basic services and recovery, and the human and humanitarian consequences of this man-made reality demand immediate attention and response. We reiterate the need for coordinated efforts to address this situation and have established a liaison committee with the Board of Peace for that purpose. We welcome the convening of two important international meetings in Brussels: the Global Alliance for the Implementation of the Two-State Solution, led by Saudi Arabia, Norway, and the EU, and the Ad Hoc Liaison Committee chaired by Norway and co-sponsored by the EU and the United States. Both meetings highlight the understanding of the international community that Palestine must remain a priority. It is imperative for this resolve to be translated into transformative action. As we embark on phase 2 of the ceasefire, we reiterate our vision of one state, one government, one law, and one gun, and the need for full Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. Gaza is an integral part of Palestine, and transitional arrangements must be conducive to the reunification of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip under the Palestinian Authority, as foreseen by this Council, leading to Palestinian self-determination and independent statehood. After so much death, destruction, displacement, and devastation, it is time for life, healing, recovery, and reconstruction. It's essential not to derail these efforts by pursuing policies that President Trump's plan rejected: forcible displacement and annexation. It is clear Israel still pursues these objectives not only in Gaza, but also in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. Mr. President, annexation is prohibited under the United Nations Charter and under preemptory norms of international law. It's a crime against peace, and it is rejected by the world and President Trump himself. This Council, the General Assembly, and the International Court of Justice have all condemned annexation. Yet annexation is underway in legislation, in policies, and in measures, in full defiance of the law and of the will of the international community. It destroys Palestinian community and the prospects for peace. Israel has further escalated its military incursions, settlement expansion, settler terrorism, mass arbitrary arrest and abuse against prisoners, including the death penalty law, severe restrictions on movement, demolition of homes, fragmenting the land, and isolating and uprooting communities by the tens of thousands. In parallel, the Israeli government seeks the collapse of the Palestinian Authority. It considers chaos in the West Bank, like destruction in Gaza, as a means to force people to leave by creating impossible conditions of life. In this context, Israel's withholding of our tax revenues is not merely a financial matter. It's an existential threat against Palestinian institutions and the people they serve. It further undermines our people's right to education, to health, to water, to safety, and much more, and is a matter of international peace and security deserving the immediate attention and action of this Council. Mr. President, in 2019, settlers shot and killed 38-year-old Hamdi al-Nassan, a father and a husband. A few days ago, in an attack by Israeli soldiers and settlers near a school in Al-Mughayyir, Aus al-Nassan, the 14-year-old son of Hamdi, was himself shot dead. A father and a son killed a few years apart, victims of the same violence. The world condemned settler terrorism then and condemned it again now. But our communities, our people, and our children were never afforded the protection they deserve, the protection they are entitled to, and the protection they desperately need. The situation today is extremely alarming as settlers terrorize Palestinians on a daily basis. This has to stop immediately. In this Council, security is often mentioned when it comes to the Middle East, but it rarely refers to the blatant and prolonged insecurity the Palestinian people endure. Mr. President, our response to this devastating reality could have been paralysis, rejectionism, or violence. We chose a different path to reaffirm our commitment to liberation by peaceful means and our unequivocal rejection of violence and condemnation of all attacks against civilians, whether Palestinian or Israeli. We have engaged positively with regional and international efforts that led to the adoption of the New York Declaration. We have welcomed the Trump peace plan and are working constructively with the US administration. We have embarked on reforms and advanced them in impossible circumstances, where instead of being empowered to pursue them, we are being undermined. 2 days ago, we organized local elections, including in Deir al-Balah in Gaza, as part of our efforts to exercise our democratic life. Help us demonstrate to the Palestinian people that the peaceful path does lead to freedom, peace, and prosperity. Mr. President, the Israeli foreign minister sat around this table a couple of months ago to defend illegal Israeli settlements and claiming that Palestinians building in their own land was illegal. He negated the very existence of Palestine, claiming it was a pure invention when our existence is undeniable. He added, since there is no Palestine, how could its land be occupied? He should ask his occupation forces, his military courts, his bulldozers, and his armed settlers whose land they are stealing, whose lives they are shattering, if not Palestinian land and Palestinian lives. Mr. President, I came to you from the Holy Land. Every square meter is filled with history and spirituality. All monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam have a deep connection to this land. The Israeli foreign minister fell short in his explanation as he stressed only one connection, espousing exclusivity. Let me remind, this is also the birthplace of Christianity, where Jesus was born, lived, preached, was crucified, and resurrected. This is the land where Al-Aqsa, the first of the two Qiblas, stands in the heart of Jerusalem, the city from which Prophet Muhammad ascended to the heavens. Diversity is this land's destiny. It's a blessing, not a curse. There's no space here for exclusivity, monopoly, or supremacy. When Israel claims respect to this diversity, it should question its commanders that order bombing of churches and mosques, its soldiers who deny celebration of Palm Sunday, or who attack pilgrims on Holy Saturday or during Ramadan, its ministers who perform Talmudic rituals at Al-Haram al-Sharif, and Israeli governments breaching the historic status quo which has been essential for peaceful coexistence of people of all faiths in Jerusalem, in the Holy Land, and transcending them across the globe. This is not a religious conflict, and the outrageous claim that persecution of Palestinians is justified by a so-called war between the Judeo-Christian civilization against Islamic barbarism should be rejected by all. This narrative aims at making this conflict impossible to resolve and irresponsibly inflames tensions among communities across the globe. For us Palestinians, regardless of our faith, this conflict is about the negation of our rights and of our existence in our ancestral land. It will end with the end of the occupation and the recognition of our rights and the independence of our state. The two-state solution based on international legitimacy is the only way forward. Mr. President, we will not achieve a brighter and more secure future by negating each other's existence, by inflaming historical and religious claims, or by trying to justify monopoly and supremacy on a land whose history and geography have defined it as a land of pluralism and diversity. This is a dead end. How many more people have to die for all of us to choose another path? That path exists. It is within reach if we finally make the right choices. It means a world in which Palestine and its people are free, and Palestinians and Israelis live side by side in security, a world in which two states, Israel and Palestine, are at peace. That peace is only possible among equals, not between oppressor and oppressed, occupier and occupied, dominant and subjects. It will not be achieved by more violence, more dehumanization, and more wars. It must be based on mutual recognition, on justice, not vengeance, on a vision for the future, not a perpetuation of the evils of the past, on shared humanity, where we all are endowed with the same rights and every life is sacred. Peace and unleashing of the potential of peoples in our region are long, long overdue. Mr. President, let me end by reminding that the Ketuvim says, seek peace and pursue it. The Quran says, O mankind, we created you from a male and a female and made you into peoples and tribes so that you may know one another. The Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Blessed are the peacemakers who can finally reconcile this land with its true name and purpose, a land of peace and a beacon for the world. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank Her Excellency, Ms. Aga Bekian, for the statement.